then we can all sing along together. Namam Ishwaram Sachidananda-Rupam Asatmangalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashodabhiyalukha Yadavamanam Paravishnam Madhyanta Todutya Nurandamurnetra Yurmamrijantam Karam Bhoja Yumena Salankanetram Bhusvasakam Patirekataganta Sridharemam Damodaram Bhaktivaram Iti Diksha Leela Bhirananda Gunde Swagoshabni Majanda Majapayanda Kadiyeshita Gemsu Bhakti Jitatva Guna Prema Dasam Sada Vritti Vande Param Deva Moksham Na Moksham Vadilva Na Janyam Vrindeham Vareshalatiha Idam Deva Purnatha Gopalavalam Sarame Manasya Virasakemanya Idam Deva Kamboja Majantamine Vitam Puntale Sridhara Krishna Gopim Mosham Vitam Bimbarata Dharame Manasa Virasam Mahakshabame Namo Deva Damodara Nanda Vishnu Prasida Namo Vimanam Tripadisti Vishyati Dina Badano Driyana Vishamahadhyame Nikshivishjani Kuberatmajamada Bodhyayana Maya Mudita Bhakti Bhajagridauja Tata Prema Bhaktim Svakamya Kayacha Namo Shigurone Sridhamudareha Namaste Sudhamne Spuradipidamne Kaviraya Vishwasadame Namo Radhikaya Tadiya Priyaya Namo Nandalilaya Devaya Rubhya Shoda Damodar Ki Jai. Okay, so I'll just get straight into the invocation. Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam. So welcome everyone to another week of Krishna Book. So it's been nice progressing so far up to the Kaliya pastime. There's so many of Krishna's pastimes up to this age of 5 or 6 years old. It'd be nice if everyone could keep the videos on so that we can participate together. It just helps to have a more of a room feel that everyone's involved. So it's appreciated. And I'm going to look at Jay Prakash Prabhu now because he normally tells us where we reached. Did anyone keep a mark of where we reached?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, we have reached where Mother Jashoda arrived. She wanted to enter the river Yamuna.
All right. Thank you, Mataji. Okay. So just because we're in the middle of the pastime, let's all together just give input on what's happening this far on this Kaliya pastime. So feel free just to start from where you can remember, and we'll go in sequence from there. So who remembers what happened very first? Hare Krishna?
Yeah, we read about Lord Balram killing the demons. Normally it's Krishna who does all the demolition, but this time Balram was taking like front line, and we also talked about the various pious activities that we end up doing, devotional service. We also looked at other activities like material activities, which material can be good or bad.
Yeah. So what the difference between those pious activities and material activities, pious activities and impious activities. So these are material activities. And then spiritual
activities we talked about was chanting, reading Vedic literature, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna book. All of these sort of activities will bring you closer to Krishna.
Yeah. And can anyone remember the beginning? That was from the end of the last chapter. That's right. That's where we started last week. And then in the beginning of this chapter 16, there was a scene where the gopas and the cows went to the Yamuna to drink the water because it was hot summer, and there was venomous vapor, there was poisonous fumes coming from the lake, isn't it? Yeah, this is where this pastime begins.
Yeah.
Okay, and then after that, what happened? They drank the water, yes, and then?
Krishna dived into the water to kill serpent Kaliya. Meanwhile, all the Vrindavan Vasis, they gathered near the river Yamuna, and Mother Yashoda fainted, thinking what would happen to his child Krishna. Everyone was lamenting, but Balram was so confident that his brother would kill the serpent. He knows who is Krishna, but all the others think that what would happen to the little boy Krishna.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, very nicely summarized, Mataji. Is there any other points anyone else would like to bring up?
So in this pastime, Balram didn't go to the forest with Krishna. to the river Yamuna with Krishna. He joined them later on when all the Brijvasis went.
Did we discuss why that was? I don't remember if we did.
Yeah, I asked the question, but we didn't discuss it. We didn't have time.
Okay. I think it was mentioned here that it was Lord Balaram's birthday, so he stayed at home with his mother. Yeah. I think it may have been in one of the sentences here. So he came with Rohini and Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj. Did we discuss the past life of Kaliya? There was two munis having a fight, the Vedashira Muni and there was another Muni. So that Vedashira Muni, he became a snake. He got cursed to be a snake. Do you remember we discussed that, the past time?
Yeah,
of how Kaliya came to the Yamuna?
Yeah.
He was looking for shelter from Garuda, and so then he went to Anantashesh, who told him a secret that Garuda is not allowed to come to the Yamuna, and therefore he moved to the Yamuna. And so then we read up to the point where Krishna has jumped in the water, and then what happened?
The river flooded its banks to a distance of 100 yards, as if something huge had fallen into the river.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was amazing. Anything else? Yeah, we discussed so many things actually, didn't we? So we discussed how the heart of the Brajbasis was, how they felt Krishna was more dear to their life than their own lives. Krishna was more dear to them than their own life. So when they saw Krishna jump in, it was as if they'd lost their life. We discussed that. And we discussed that it's actually a great ecstasy for them. Because something which is materially so painful, in the spiritual world, because it's connected to Krishna, it gives rise to ecstasy. They feel a great ecstasy, great happiness. Spiritual happiness, of course. So Krishna is giving them separation to make their heart fonder, grow fonder, isn't it? And then we discussed, so that in that mood, then we just finished with this line which Prabhupada writes, how the residents, they felt that the three worlds had become vacant. And we're discussing the prayer of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Does anyone remember what that one was? What the name of the prayer is?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Is that Shikshastan?
Yeah, that's very close. Yes, the Sikshastakam.
Yeah.
Very well remembered. Sikshastakam. So this is a prayer left by Lord Chaitanya. He also says the same thing in his prayer, that Yugaitam Nimeshina, that every moment feels like 12 years. It feels like an age. Because they don't see Govinda for a moment. It feels like so long to them. So that was the depth of their love. And then we did one round of japa, didn't we? Because this is the mood for chanting, actually, that we feel like we should be missing Krishna. Okay, so let's start on today then. So now they've seen Krishna go into the water, and now we're returning to this. We're starting with this paragraph when Mother Yashoda arrived. Yeah. So if we can have a few more devotees to volunteer for reading, then we can share that out. That would be nice if everyone could volunteer. We can maybe do a paragraph or two each. So put your name in the chat, number in the chat box for reading. And we'll start with Jay Prakash Prabhu. Okay, Prabhu?
Yeah, okay. When Mother Yashoda arrived, she wanted to enter the river Yamuna. And being checked, she fainted. Her friends, who were equally aggravated, were shedding tears like torrents of rain or waves of the river. But in order to bring Mother Yashoda to consciousness, they began to speak loudly about the transcendental pastimes of Krishna. Mother Yashoda remained still, as if dead, because her consciousness was concentrated on the face of Krishna. Nanda and all the other cowherd men who had dedicated everything, including their lives, to Krishna, were ready to enter the waters of Yamuna. But Lord Balram checked them because he was in perfect knowledge that there was no danger. For 2 hours, Krishna remained like an ordinary child gripped in the coils of Kaliya. But when he saw that all the inhabitants of Gokula, including his mother and father, the gopis, the boys, and the cows, were just on the point of death, and that they had no shelter for salvation from imminent death, Krishna immediately freed himself.
Prabhu, could we just stop there for a moment?
Yeah.
In my text, it's got a paragraph there just before. So if we could just go through that one a little bit in the start of this paragraph, because this paragraph is quite long.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. I just wanted to highlight one point actually at the beginning of this paragraph that we started with, that it said Mother Yashoda was shedding tears like torrents of rain. So I just wanted to draw attention to that section because again, it seems like Prabhupada is drawing parallels with what's happening here, and again the Sikshastakam prayers which we started to discuss last week. So the one that we read from last week, the prayer we read from last week, was about how the 3 worlds had become vacant. And in the Sikshastakam prayer, that's verse 7. And there's another verse which is Chakshusha Pravasaitam Sunyaitam Chakshusha Pravasaitam. So that's from Yugaitam Nimeshena Chakshusha Pravasaitam Sunyaitam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Varahena Me. So that means that that Mother Yashoda's eyes were actually decorated with those tears. She was shedding tears. Her eyes were actually looking more decorated because of those tears, because the tears were tears of love. They were not tears of anguish, or of course she was feeling like that, but it was actually because of the love. That was the reason for the tears. So in a deeper sense, it wasn't that she was just feeling that Krishna's gone, and that was there, but that feeling brought about the love that she felt for Krishna, and that was why those tears were there. So her eyes were actually decorated with those tears. And so that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he also says, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he even prays to have tears like that, like of Mother Yashoda, because we're also away from Krishna, we're also missing Krishna. So there's a very beautiful point which Srila Prabhupada brings in here. And here it actually says like torrents of rain or waves of the river. And sometimes it's said that the pure devotees, when they cry, their tears come out of their eyes, forwards, out of their eyes like syringe, not down, like not coming down the face. In fact, even some devotees have witnessed Srila Prabhupada, when he was traveling and speaking about Krishna around the world, he exhibited like this kind of ecstatic love for Krishna. Srila Prabhupada personally exhibited that. And devotees who were sitting close to him on the Vyasasan, and they witnessed him crying, firsthand, face to face, they would actually see the tears were coming, shooting from his eyes. And sitting close to him, not only they saw those tears, the tears would fall upon them. They would go over him, over the Vyasasan, and onto them. So they would actually receive the tears of Srila Prabhupada while they were watching him in this mood of separation of Krishna. Such was the love of Srila Prabhupada. So we can see in situations like this, Srila Prabhupada is certainly not an ordinary human being. It's explained that the acharyas, they come from the spiritual world. They come away from Krishna to give us Krishna. So this is the compassion of Srila Prabhupada. He's left Krishna, who he loves so dearly, to come and be with us. So I just wanted to draw some of these points, because actually on Wednesday, Does anyone know what day it is on Wednesday, the festival we're celebrating tomorrow?
Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day.
Yeah, that's right, Mataji. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day. So this is the day which he returned back to Krishna. So we're observing half-day fast tomorrow in honor of Srila Prabhupada and hearing and remembering more about him, especially on tomorrow, his disappearance day. Okay. I just wanted to add one more thing if I can. Because it said that Lord Balaram checked them in the end of that paragraph. And so of course, up to now, all these events have happened. You know, the cows and the cows and the boys had passed away, and the residents of Vrindavan came running, and Balaram was really peaceful up till now, just smiling, huh? In the midst of all this, you know, in the midst of all of this danger. But here it says that Balaram actually, he said something, he checked them. So so then Jiva Goswami, he gives a little bit more elaboration on this, and he explains that how did Lord Balaram pacify them? He explains that Lord Balaram, he recited what had been told by Garga Muni when Krishna was born. Remember who Garga Muni is? What ceremony did Garga Muni perform for Krishna? Does anyone remember?
Was it Nandotsav?
Name give.
Almost.
Name.
More specifically. Yeah.
Was it when after Krishna was born? I think just to read. Was it name giving or the one like to read that? You know, normally like we have that what sort of things going to be he's doing and kind of knowing his future.
Yeah.
So Garga Muni came to reveal.
That's right, yeah. So specifically, he came to the cowshed, Garga Muni, he came to the cowshed of Nanda Maharaj. He came in secret, basically, because normally this kind of thing is done in a great festive way. You know, everyone is going to hear the name of the baby, yeah. And then the astrologer Garga Muni, he will give some predictions about his life, and but they did it in a very secret way. And so Balaram, he's only a young boy himself, and everyone's in anxiety here, and he's reminding them, what did Garga Muni say? This little boy Balaram is saying, who's only a little bit older than Krishna. He's saying, remember the words of Garga Muni? Garga Muni said that not even, he said not even a blade of, not even like a strand of grass on, a strand of hair on Krishna's head will be afflicted in his life. And he said, this is because he has touched your effulgent lotus feet, Nanda Maharaj. He said, because Krishna has touched your lotus feet, then not even one strand of hair on his head will be hurt. So this is how Balaram, he was using his words very poetically, very beautifully, and very truthfully, actually, to please everyone, you know. And at the same time, he was so confident. Just wanted to add that in there. Did anyone else want to bring anything up from what we read?
I just
Otherwise, we
wanted
can
to add
continue.
one more thing.
Sorry, who was that?
Balaram was very calm because he himself is Seshnag, so he's thinking, I am Seshnag, so what is Kalia? He's just like a little worm. I think
What is Kalia? He's just like a little worm. Yeah. Yeah, so he could see that Krishna was the Supreme Lord, and this little jiva, this little soul, is incomparable to Krishna. Yeah. Okay, Jai Prakash Prabhu, would you like to continue from where we stopped? I think we stopped with Krishna immediately freed himself.
Yes. Krishna immediately freed himself. He began to expand his body, and when the serpent tried to hold him, he felt a great strain. On account of the strain, his coils slackened, and he had no alternative but to let loose the personality of Godhead Krishna from his grasp. Kali had then become very angry, and with his great hoods expanded, he exhaled poisonous fumes from his nostrils. His eyes blazed like fire, and flames issued from his mouth. The great serpent remained still for some time, looking at Krishna, licking his lips with bifurcated tongues. The serpent looked at Krishna with double hoods, and his eyesight was full of poison. Krishna immediately pounced upon him, just as Garuda swoops upon a snake. Thus attacked Kalia looked for an opportunity to bite him, but Krishna moved around him. As Krishna and Kalia moved in a circle, the serpent gradually became fatigued, and his strength seemed to diminish considerably. Krishna immediately pressed down the serpent's hoods and jumped up on them. The Lord's lotus feet became tinged with red from the rays of the jewels of the snake's hood. Then he, who is the original artist of all fine arts, such as dancing, began to dance upon the hoods of the serpent. Although they were moving to and from, upon seeing this, the denizens of the upper planets showered flowers, beat drums, played different types of flutes, and sang various prayers and songs. This way, all the denizens of heaven, such as Gandharvas, Siddhas, and demigods, became very much pleased.
Thank you, Prabhu. Does anyone want to call out any points from here? Don't wait for me to ask you as we read. Feel free to as we go along. So it's really a dramatic scene, isn't it, this one? Very descriptive of how Kaliya is looking, how Krishna is moving. So one thing that was interesting, I thought, was in this pastime, there's actually many, what's the word, like dichotomy. What's another word for that? Dichotomy. Another word, maybe a simpler word. You know where there's like opposites?
Duality?
Duality, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of dualities in this pastime, or like lots of contradictory things occurring, you know? Does that make more sense? Like there's a lot of contradictory things in this pastime, which is interesting, which I wanted to try and bring out. So one thing was that this that Krishna is dancing and wrestling with Kaliya, right? That's what's being described here. And Kaliya, there's one Krishna. Krishna has one body. And Kaliya has so many hoods, isn't it? Yeah. So this is one interesting thing, isn't it? How Krishna is one, and there's many hoods coming towards him. And still none of them can catch him. Yeah. And how ferocious do those hoods look? Can anyone say? They're really nice descriptions here. Or not so nice, depending on how you look at things. Detailed descriptions. I don't know if anyone's seen the Krishna cartoon, you know? Has anyone seen that? There's a series of Little Krishna. And they've depicted these pastimes in a very in a similar way. Srimad Bhagavatam explains them.
I think it's mainly all the fumes coming out of the mouth, the poisonous fume, and they were like burning red hot fumes.
Yeah.
And he was jumping as soon as the fume came out from that that hood, he would jump on that hood, and then Kalia would try to put the other hood on, and Krishna would jump onto that hood. So he was basically, as soon as the hood was coming up, Krishna was jumping on each hood and dancing like that.
Yeah. Could everyone hear that? Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? So all of these hoods were there. They're all coming at Krishna at the same time. Yeah. But still Krishna could find a gap and escape every moment. So we are just thinking about what this might be like. But the residents of Vrindavan were witnessing it with their own eyes. They were watching. So, you know, that's why it said that they were literally at the point of death. So this is one thing. And there's a beautiful description of Lord Krishna's lotus feet. And how are they described?
It says the Lord's lotus feet became tinged with red from the rays of the jewel on the snake's hood.
Yeah, that's right. So they became actually everything that happens to Krishna increases his beauty. So Krishna's feet were jumping from one hood to another. And there were these, what is it said? So there were jewels on the head of the serpent, you know. They said that a serpent is anyways dangerous, but the ones which have like a jewel on their head, there are such serpents actually, they're even more dangerous. Because they not only have that poison, but they also have a lot of Shakti, they have a lot of power as well. You know, they're holding a certain mystic power as well. And so Krishna, his lotus feet, because the hoods were red, the jewels were red on the hoods, Krishna was stamping on the Kaliya's hoods. And in so doing that, you know, when you press something very hard, then the color imprints a little bit, right? So this is devastating for the gopis of Vrindavan, especially, because when they touch Krishna's lotus feet, his lotus feet to them is as soft as butter, as soft as melted butter. Imagine, as soft as melted butter, Krishna's lotus feet. So that's their experience of Krishna. Krishna says, Yeya tamam prapadyante tam sateva bhajamyaham in Bhagavad Gita, that as you surrender to me, I will reciprocate accordingly. So because their own hearts were so soft, then Krishna became very soft for them. But in the case of Kaliya, very different story, Krishna's lotus feet were like smashing thunderbolts, you know, smashing on his head. So he felt like these steps of Krishna as he danced were like thunderbolts hitting his head. You know? So he had a very different experience of Krishna's lotus feet. And at the same time, just in contrast, the residents of Vrindavan were thinking, Krishna's butter-like feet. So this is another contrast. There was many mouths and one Krishna. That Krishna's feet, which were soft like butter, hard like thunderbolts. And on seeing this, the demigods, how did they respond?
They showered flowers and beating of drums.
Yeah, that's right.
Various prayers and songs.
Thank you, Mataji. That's right, yeah.
And they were pleased.
They were pleased, yeah. So this is like the standard for the demigods, isn't it? Whenever the demigods like make their cameo appearance into Krishna's pastimes, there they are with the flowers and the drums. But normally they come when Krishna's finished the demon off, isn't it? Here they're coming just like Krishna's dancing on Kaliya's hoods, and they're already there, you know, they're already not even waiting for the thing to finish, you know, they're just like going for it. You know? So it's adding to the beauty of the scene because Krishna is dancing here on Kaliya's hoods. And then at the same time, the devas are there playing music now, you know, to accompany Krishna's pastime. And they're showering flowers as well to make it an even more beautiful scene. So this is also interesting. So, so this is another thing about this is that actually the lotus feet of Krishna are sought out by all of the yogis, all of the devas, all pious people, even the devotees as well. Everybody wants the mercy from Krishna's lotus feet, isn't it? Even Krishna himself, has anyone seen that picture of Krishna lying on his back as a baby on a large banyan leaf, and he's sucking his own toe, right? So what's happening in that picture? Can anyone say? Nothing too esoteric, so don't be shy to have a guess.
Well, when you see babies, they're trying to they're trying to I guess that's what sometimes they're trying to put something in their mouth or
Yeah, so we see that with babies. On one way, Krishna is acting just like a baby, isn't it? He's sucking his toe, or he's sucking his toes, or whatever. But actually, his feet are so sweet. Huh? So even he's tasting that sweetness from his own feet.
Krishna wanted to taste the sweetness, and why the sweetness of the lotus feet, like why is everybody, all the devotees are tasting the sweetness of the lotus feet of Krishna, and he wanted to experience that, but he can't experience it as a adult Krishna, so he's performing this pastime as a baby. So he's sucking his own toes, so he can experience the sweetness of his own feet, his own lotus feet. Even Lakshmi ji is like, you know, sitting at the lotus feet of Krishna and experience that ecstasy. And he wanted to experience that ecstasy from what his own devotees, pure devotees, were experiencing by serving his lotus feet. I think that's what I understood.
Yeah, some really amazing points.
Yeah, nicely explained. Thank you, Mataji. Beautiful.
Yeah, so Krishna, he wanted to experience what the devotees like Lakshmi Devi and others experience. So when he takes the form of a baby, he can do things what adults can't do. Right? It wouldn't be so appropriate if Krishna was there, 24 years old and sucking his toes. So he can take that form as a baby and experience what his devotees experience, and therefore he's complete, isn't it? That's what actually makes him more complete. There's nothing that Krishna cannot experience. So the demigods, they all want to experience the mercy and the sweetness of Krishna's feet, lotus feet. And so again, in the contrast of this pastime, Kaliya, who is so envious, so evil that he even killed Krishna's very dear friends and cows, he's experiencing Krishna's lotus feet. So that's really amazing. So the demigods, they haven't even waited for Kaliya to be finished. They've just gone straight into the kirtan, and started showering flowers. Would anyone else like to share points from this paragraph or any reflections you have with the conversation?
I just had a realization actually, because even Kalia was so kind of, he wanted to kill Krishna, who's like a supreme personality Godhead, but how Krishna is so merciful that even though, the serpent like that, he's still showing his mercy. I mean, so he can taste his lotus feet. Wow, this is like amazing.
Extraordinary, isn't it?
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you, Mataji, for contributing. Okay, we can read the next paragraph now. So is Kirtika with us, or we can continue to Linisha and Amu Mataji? Hare Krishna, Amu Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Linisha is loaded with homework, so she did not attend.
Oh, no problem. Nice to hear you reading.
I don't know whether it's nice, but I will try, Prabhu. While Krishna was dancing on his hoods, Kalia tried to push him down with some of his other hoods. Kalia had about 100 hoods, but Krishna took control of them. He began to dash Kalia with his lotus feet, and this was more than the serpent could bear. Gradually, Kalia was reduced to struggling for his very life. He vomited all kinds of refuse and exhaled fire. While throwing up poisonous material from within, Kalia became reduced in his sinful situation. Out of great anger, he began to struggle for existence and tried to raise one of his hood to kill the Lord. The Lord immediately captured that hood and subdued it by kicking it and dancing on it. It actually appeared as if the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, was being worshipped. The poisons emanating from the mouth of the serpent appeared on be like flower offerings. Kalia then began to vomit blood instead of poison. He was completely fatigued. His whole body appeared to be broken by the kicks of the Lord. Within his mind, however, he finally began to understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he surrendered unto him. He realized that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, the Master of everything.
Yeah. So he's on his very last breaths now, Kalia, isn't it? Any thoughts from here? Any reflections?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, just a little funny thought. About
Okay.
time I realized that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thank you, Mataji.
I hope it's not offensive. So
No? So this is the beauty of reading Krishna book, isn't it? You can see how extraordinary Krishna's activities are. On one level, in some areas they seem just very normal, or just very sweet, or even just very ordinary. But there's in every little thing that Krishna does, from just sucking his own toes to dancing like this, everything is done with it's just simply to draw out love from us and attract us to him. So we can see here how one benefits from the meditation on Krishna's lotus feet, or one who comes in contact with Krishna's lotus feet, how they are, how one is blessed by that contact with Krishna's lotus feet. So although Kalia here is going through so much pain, from first, he's shooting out poison and fire even, and all this from his mouth, to the point where he's just actually saying, he's like how he's coughing up his own blood. He's like, this is actually Krishna purifying him. Krishna is purifying. He's removing all of that poison. Is coming out until there's no more poison left at all. So you can imagine the point where Kalia starts from so much so much poison and degradation, to the point where he's completely weak and feeble. Krishna's made him surrender. So only Krishna could do that, you know. Only Krishna could bring him to that point. Isn't it? It was so powerful, the snake. Such an extraordinary snake. And so Krishna is purifying him with his lotus feet, and it's explained here how all of this junk and garbage emanating from him are like, what are they compared to? Did anyone see that? They were like worshipped. So how did they come out as, or appear like? It's written there, actually, in the middle of the paragraph.
Flower offerings.
Thank you, Jigna Mataji. Yeah, like flower offerings. So amidst all of this, it's like actually really quite gross and disgusting, isn't it? Just imagine this snake with like so many hoods, and he's just throwing up all kinds of things. But how did Krishna accept that? Like flower offerings. Amazing. Another contrast there, you know. So when we see something like that, oh, you know, just don't want anything to do with it. But Krishna, he knows what Kaliya is like, and he's purifying him, and he's accepting even that which is nobody else wants to touch and go near. Krishna is right there with his feet. His body is right there amidst all of this, all these abominable things, and accepting them like flower offerings. Not even just that he's avoiding them, but he's accepting them like flower offerings. Even more, he's accepting them. And then one more contrast that I saw from this paragraph was, and when we think of a snake, just any snake, you know, when we think of a snake, just, you know, the look and the texture. What word comes to mind? What word comes to mind when you think snake?
Slimy.
Easy one. Huh?
Slimy.
Slimy. Anyone else? Yeah.
Danger.
Danger. Yeah.
Scary.
Scary. Yeah.
Disgusting.
Disgusting. Yeah. I was thinking also like slimy, slippery, slimy, you know? Okay, we won't discuss that in too much more detail.
No,
I don't want to give you a nightmares. But
Personified death.
Personified death. Yeah. Wow, that's really heavy one. Yeah. Actually, time is compared to a snake also. But yeah, I was also thinking, like, so here's another comparison, is that Kaliya is very slippery or slimy. And what's Krishna doing on Kaliya?
He's dancing on his head.
Okay. Has anyone like learned dance or tried dancing?
Yeah.
I can see Ammu Mataji's. I was waiting for Ammu Mataji. Can you say something about dancing, Mataji, in this connection?
Yeah, we had done, Lenisha has done Kaliya Nartanam when she was 5 years, and now we are planning to do Kaliya Tillana as well soon.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very nice to do Kaliya Nartanam, Prabhu, but this point is really amazing that, yeah, as you said, I didn't even think about that. Krishna was dancing on top of the snake's head, but it's slippery. I didn't even notice that. I have even put all the steps like Kaliya, Krishna jumping around the hoods, and all those parts I choreographed, but I did not think that the snake's head would be slippery and how he would have danced. Just now I'm thinking about it. It's amazing.
So for those of you who don't know, Ammu Mataji as you've heard now, she said she's a dance choreographer. Her daughter is also an excellent dancer. And you can see now, it's clear, Krishna is dancing on a slippery surface, right? And some of you may have seen this dance choreographed either live or on video, or maybe Mataji could share some of the clips which she's had with her students, if it's okay.
Yes,
I don't want to jump in.
Yeah.
But it's so expertly done. Huh? So not only is Krishna such an expert dancer, as it says here in the previous paragraph, that Krishna is the original artist of all fine arts. But he's actually doing something which is, again, very impossible. He's dancing on a slippery surface. Not a slippery surface, but the hoods are moving as well. Yeah? So it just adds another, like, you know, Krishna, that's impossible. And he's looking wonderful. He's looking extraordinary. So this is another thing. So we can go on to the next paragraph unless anyone would like to add anything. Who's the next reader now? Shamarani Mataji?
Okay. The wives of the serpent knows as the Nagapatnis, so that their husband was being subdued by the kicking of the Lord, within whose womb the whole universe remains. Kalia's wives prepared to worship the Lord, although in their haste their dress, hair, and ornaments became disarrayed. They also surrendered unto the Supreme Lord and began to pray. They appeared before him, put forward their offspring, and anxiously offered respectful obeisances. Falling down on the bank of the Yamuna, the Nagpatnis knew that Krishna is the shelter of all surrendered souls, and they desired to release their husband from the impending danger by pleasing the Lord with their prayers.
So what can we understand about these Nagapatnis? What kind of people were they? Just from the text here itself, it's describing some
They were
aspects.
devoted, weren't they? They believed in Krishna, because that's the reason they started praying.
Yeah, that's right. So that comes across. Anything else?
They were Krishna's devotees.
Yeah, that's right.
They
Panchali mentioned
didn't
that.
actually, when Krishna started dancing, they didn't pray to Krishna to leave Kalia alone, because Kalia was full of envy and anger and poison. And until he surrendered, when he surrendered to Krishna, Lord Krishna, Kalia surrendered to Lord Krishna, and he thought out of his mind that, you know, this is the Lord and I must kind of surrender to him. And mentally he repented with what he'd done. That's when he started behaving like a devotee. That's when the Nagapatnis were praying to Krishna to, you know, rescue Kalia, not to kill him. But he had to actually, Kalia had to actually mentally ask for forgiveness and repent, and basically he had to surrender. So I think we can learn from here that unless we repent deeply from our heart, Krishna, of anything we've done, we don't get forgiven.
Wow, yeah, that's a really amazing point, Mom. I didn't actually spot that one, yeah. So actually, yeah, Kalia did surrender. It does say in the previous paragraph, he surrendered unto him. And then that's when the wives came in to help their husband, isn't it? because he was being more sincere in that surrender. Anything else from here? So maybe it's something that is a bit obvious, but and it's just like, well, it's not really a point, but I just thought I'd bring it up anyway. But of course, these are not ordinary snakes, right? Kalia is not an ordinary snake. His wives are not ordinary snakes. They're like divine snakes, actually, you know, and that they can change their form. They can have the power to change from snake form to a human-like form, you know, which is why it says here that the wives, they adjusted, you know, their hair and their ornaments and their clothes, everything became disarray because of their, you know, because of the situation, everything became disarray. So I'm sure you don't, but like, you don't have a picture in your head of like a snake person with hair and you know, makeup on and all of this and the dress. But actually they had like a human-like form as well. But they were actually snakes that they were like divine serpents, or like you can say they were like heavenly kind of, or subterranean heavens serpents, actually. So we can read the next paragraph. Sorry, that was quite short, Shamrani Mataji, thank you. And Panchali's next reader.
Then the Nagapatnis began to offer their prayers as follows. O dear Lord, you are equal to everyone. For you, there is no distinction between your sons, friends, or enemies. Therefore, the punishment which you have so kindly offered to Kalia is exactly befitting. O Lord, you have descended especially for the purpose of annihilating all kinds of disturbing elements within the world. And because you are the absolute truth, there is no difference between your mercy and your punishment. We think, therefore, that this apparent punishment of Kalia is actually some benediction. We consider that your punishment is your great mercy upon us, because when you punish someone, it's to be understood that the reactions of his sinful activities are eradicated. It is already clear that this creature appearing in the body of a serpent must have been overburdened with all kinds of sin. Otherwise, how could he have the body of a serpent? Your dancing on his hoods has reduced all the sinful results of actions caused by his having this body of a serpent. It is therefore very auspicious that you have become angry and have punished him in this way. We are very much astonished to see how you have become so much pleased with this serpent, who evidently performed various religious activities in his past lives that pleased everyone. He must have undergone all kinds of penances and austerities, humbly honored others, and executed universal welfare activities for all living creatures. Haribol.
So nice beginning, wonderful beginning to prayers. Thanks for reading, Mataji. It kind of struck me where this prayer began. How it began? Can anyone say?
You are equal to everyone. So
Okay.
really is impartial.
So that's an interesting place to start. It's a good place to start, actually, isn't it? In this scenario, why do you think that's a good place to start? I thought that was quite clever to start by saying you're impartial.
That was very diplomatic, wasn't it? Just immediately kind of saying that, I mean, trying to steer the attention from the fact that Kalia is actually quite a bad person. So if you think of in terms of persons, by just saying that you're equal to everyone, that means you're equal to the bad and the good.
Yeah. It's a good place to start if you're not in a good place yourself. That's quite instructive. And then what do they say after that?
That the punishment was befitting to Kaliya, because
And why do they say that? Why do you think that comes next? Could they have just said, you know, he's our husband, how dare you, you know? But on the other hand, they're taking it that, you know, whatever you do is fine. It's befitting. So whose side are they actually on in this, when they're expressing themselves?
I think they're still on their husband's side, but they being devotees, they actually realize the mistake that has been done by their husband, and so
Okay.
they are not being angry, but they're actually asking for mercy.
Okay. Anyone else have a different opinion? Or do you agree?
I think it's they are more with Krishna and the decision he's made, because the Kaliya was the way he was, and I think so I think they were on the side of Krishna.
Okay, so now we have two teams. Anyone else have another opinion? Well, I can't say I know for sure, but it's not an easy one, right? You can see it. It could easily be both ways. Yeah. So Shyamrani Mataji is saying it's they're on Krishna's side, and Chali Mataji is saying on Kaliya's side, although they see what Krishna is doing.
could they be on their side?
They're on their own side.
Yeah, because when a wife obviously doesn't want to lose her husband, so they're praying for their benefit, not to lose.
Yeah, that's also, yeah, that's a really interesting point. Yeah, so they also they don't want to lose their husband. As wives, they don't want to lose their husband. So they've thought of very befitting prayers, haven't they? So that they can save their husband because they want to keep the husband. Yeah. So you can see it's not so clear cut. So then they're going on to say about how there is no difference between your mercy and your punishment, isn't it? Yeah. And do we see this often? Is this the first time Krishna or any of Krishna's avatars have ever shown this kind of great mercy or extreme punishment in a way that is equally beneficial? Like, has Krishna ever shown that he does something which is like, you know, really punishing to someone, but actually there's a great benediction at the end of it all?
I think all of them, I mean, whether it's Kamsa, whether it's Putana, I mean, they all get liberated. They are punished, but they're killed by the Lord.
Yeah.
That's a benediction, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So actually, everything Krishna is doing is all good. Krishna is the all good personality of Godhead. Huh? And so this is really the vision of the pure devotee. Not just when looking at, let's say, Krishna Leela in this, you know, this perspective, but even when they're looking more broadly at the world, because they accept Krishna as the Supreme Lord of everything, and nothing can happen without his sanction. Therefore, everything which is happening for the greater good, no matter how bad it may seem. So certainly Kaliya wasn't feeling like Krishna's saving me here as he was fighting with Krishna and having his head crushed. That definitely wasn't the case. But he did certainly come to the realization that this was for my benefit. He surrendered to Krishna in the end. So it's interesting reflection, especially in these times where, you know, the coronavirus is taking over the world, and people are questioning, isn't it? Like, if God is good, then how could this be happening? But certainly we should know as devotees that with the Krishna vision, we should know that everything is happening under the sanction of Krishna. It's all happening as part of a greater arrangement, which is yet to unfold. And so Krishna is, these are ways which Krishna increases our faith in him. If we surrender to him, Krishna reveals more to us, you see. So starting with that point, actually everything that Krishna does, whether it's a punishment or whether he's favoring someone, he is absolute. Everything he does is all good. You have to start with that point of faith. Because sometimes in religion it's given this view that, you know, the Lord is there and whatever he likes, you know, that's good, and whatever he doesn't like, that's bad, you know, and you just have to be in his good books. But Krishna is not like an ordinary person. You know, he's, as it says in the next paragraph, sorry, the next portion of this, does it say it here or does it say further down? Anyway, I'll just raise the point since we're on it. But it's like Krishna, he sees everyone as his children equally. So whether the child is bad or whether the child is good, everyone is Krishna's children and he's doing what's best for them. And this is what this pastime is actually bringing out. Like Kaliya, he's been a very bad boy. But Krishna is rectifying him, Krishna is helping him. He's bringing out all of that poison from him, from his body, from his heart. He's purifying him. And then he surrendered to Krishna. Then he acknowledged who Krishna is, that Krishna is his Supreme Father. So this is the thing here. So they're saying this is very auspicious, isn't it? This is how they're praying. But it's interesting, they're bringing in some other points as well here, towards the end of the paragraph, about how how Kaliya. So first they're saying how he's so sinful, but then what do they go on to say towards the end of the paragraph? They give a different point of view.
I think they were saying that he must have done some kind of a good deed in his past life. So that's why basically, and everyone must have been pleased by his undergoing all kind of penances and austerities. So, and he must have executed universal welfare activities for all living creatures. That's why he's getting the mercy.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? So first they're saying how he's so horrible and sinful, and then they're finishing same paragraph that he's so glorious and he's done such great charitable acts and penances and so we're just coming up to time. So maybe I can just comment one more thing on this and then we'll read the next paragraph. So I was thinking how actually, I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. Maybe they are praying because they're devotees of Krishna, or maybe they want to petition for their husband, or maybe they just want a husband. They're on their own side and they're praying for their own benefit. Actually, I was thinking how the devotees of Krishna. This is just another angle. The devotees of Krishna, are just like Krishna in their attitude. You know, Krishna is equal to everyone, as the prayer started. They pointed that out at the beginning. Devotees of Krishna are also equal to everyone. So the greatest example we see of that is our own Srila Prabhupada. He didn't have any distinction when he was speaking to everyone. He himself was so convinced that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and that he wanted to give Krishna, he wanted to give that person their Krishna. Like, Krishna is mine, Krishna is yours, Krishna is everyone's. You take Krishna as well, please. You know, Prabhupada had that mood. Now, sometimes when we want to discuss about Krishna with others, we're a little bit more selective, isn't it? Right? We think, okay, this person knows about Krishna, we can discuss with Krishna about them with Krishna. We think this person comes from a pious background. This person is from a Hindu background. They will know who's Krishna. You know. So we have that discrimination, that based on the body or the mind of the person or the attitude of the person, we discriminate, isn't it? Yeah. Of this person, they can take Krishna or not, right? But Srila Prabhupada wasn't like that. Srila Prabhupada was convinced Krishna is the Supreme Lord of everyone. He is the Lord of everyone's heart. And every dealing that he had with anyone, that was kind of the thing that always came across. He was, like Krishna, he doesn't have any distinction between friends and enemies. He was equal to everyone. So I was thinking that maybe these Nagapatnis, they are also having that vision that, you know, Krishna, you're equal to everyone. So also be equal to our husband. We are also equal to him. They're not seeing that he's good, he's bad. They're saying that he's done good things, he's done bad things, but still he's your devotee. They have the equal vision. So I just wanted to bring in maybe that perspective. Because at the end of the day, they're devotees. They're speaking personally to Krishna face to face. They also must be very pure themselves to be able to speak to Krishna directly. So what great wives did Kaliya have, isn't it?
Mm.
Huh? Does anyone else want to share anything from this paragraph?
Prabhuji, can I just make a quick comment?
Yes.
So towards the end, when they mention about how great a devotee Kaliya had been in his previous life, was that done purposefully, just to remind? I mean, Krishna obviously knows everything, but probably just you know, another way of reminding Krishna that, you know, he had been your devotee, so he cannot be punished. Was that done deliberately?
Yeah, I think it is done deliberately. They are speaking their heart, because prayer is a matter of speaking one's heart, isn't it? And it's not done in an impersonal way. We see that the prayers that all of these devotees are offering to Krishna are always very personal. They're done in a personal way of revealing one's own heart to Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, they're not impersonal. They're not that, you know, Krishna, you know everything, you know my heart. There's no need for me to say anything. You know what I am, who I was, what I will be. It's all fine, it's all good. But actually they're revealing their heart. They know that Krishna knows their heart, but still they want to express. They still want to express their heart and have that interaction, that exchange with Krishna. So it's done on that basis that they're, we say revealing the heart, but Krishna can already see their heart. You know?
Yeah.
But that's what's appreciated. You see, Krishna appreciates that personal endeavor, that personal interaction, rather than the impersonal. So this is more more pleasing to Krishna. So even though he knows still is pleasing to him.
Thank you.
And if anyone else has any other comments, you can add them now. We can move on. Yes.
So this is what makes Galia different from the other demons, because the other demons, they were killed, but they on instantly, like, and then but they didn't surrender to Krishna. Am I right? Am I getting a bit?
No, that's absolutely correct. Yeah. Isn't that amazing? That's right, yeah, Mataji, that Krishna doesn't actually kill Kaliya. Yeah. That's really amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's really, really amazing. There is one demon that got away. And he was a snake of them all. He was like the snake of all snakes. Right? That one slippery snake, he got away. Kaliya. So yeah. I think we'll be discussing more about that as we go on. But that's actually really, really amazing. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Thank you.
So we still got some time. We can go on to the next paragraph. Who's our next reader? I wonder if Kirtika Mataji is back with us. No. Would anyone else like to volunteer to read, please? We could have one more reader. Be much appreciated. Please don't be shy. Anyone who hasn't read?
I can try, but
Yeah,
people don't mind bearing with me.
please.
The Nagapatnis confirm that one cannot come in contact with Krishna without having executed pious activities in devotional service in his previous lives. As Lord Chaitanya advised in his Shikashtaka, one has to execute devotional service by humbly chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street, and not expending honor for himself, but offering all kinds of honor to others. The Nagapatnis were astonished that although Kaliya had the body of a serpent as a result of grievous sinful activities, at the same time, he was in contact with the Lord to the extent that the Lord's lotus feet were touching his hoods. Certainly, this was not the ordinary result of pious activities. These two contradictory facts astonished them. Thus they continued to pray, "Oh dear Lord, we are simply astonished to see that he is so fortunate as to have the dust of your lotus feet on his head. This is a fortune sought after by great saintly persons. Even the goddess of fortune underwent severe austerities just to have the blessing of the dust of your lotus feet. So how is it that Kaliya is so easily getting this dust on his head? We have heard from authoritative sources that those who are blessed with the dust of your lotus feet do not care even for the highest post within the universe, namely the post of Lord Brahma, or the kingship of the heavenly planets, or the sovereignty of this planet. Nor do such persons desire to rule the planets above this earth, such as Siddhaloka. Nor do they aspire for mystic powers achieved by the yoga process. Nor do the pure devotees aspire for liberation by becoming one with you. My Lord, although he is born in a species of life which is fostered by the most abominable mode of material nature, accompanied with the quality of anger, this king of the serpents has achieved something very, very rare. Living entities who are wandering within this universe in different species of life can very easily achieve the greatest benediction only by your mercy.
Wow. Yeah, wow. Speechless. Beautiful prayers. Really, really amazing. So in the beginning of this paragraph, Srila Prabhupada is referencing again the same prayers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Shikshastakam prayers. Interestingly, they're coming back and again and again and again. So these prayers, they're really, really important actually. If you've not had the chance, I would highly recommend you seek these prayers out, or maybe Chigna Mataji, who is supporting the group, she could post them up in our group. They're really worth reading and learning, or trying to pray with these prayers when we chant, before we chant. Really powerful, and they really encapsulate the mood of the pure devotees. So in this particular, this is verse 3 from the Shikshastakam Prabhupada is referring to at the beginning of the paragraph. Trinadapi sunichena torodaveseshnana amanina manadena kirtanya sadahari. Has anyone heard this verse before? It's very, very much a quoted verse. Yeah, a couple of devotees. So it said that that this verse, it should be worn around one's neck like a garland. This verse, so important. We should this verse should be like a garland around the neck. We should always be holding this verse close to us. What does it mean? So it says here that one should be thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street, not expecting honor for himself, but offering all kinds of honor to others. So this is the third verse of the Shikshastaka. Very important verse. And in such a mood, one can chant constantly. So does anyone have struggle when they're chanting their rounds in their japa? Yeah, me. I put both my hands up. The real struggle, chanting japa. I put my feet up as well if I could. Yeah. Then I'd be on the floor like a straw. But yeah, this is because don't have this mood, this mood of humility to approach Krishna. Sometimes it's like we just want to get it done. We just want to get to the end of the beads, just want to reach that last bead. Sometimes devotees say, the best time in their japa is when they get to that last bead, 16 rounds, all done, out of the window. Yeah. Get three beads away from the end, 2 beads away from the end, the last one. Yeah, really happy now. So no, but this isn't the mood. So chanting, the mood should be, we should be very humble. Every mantra, where every mantra is in gratitude to Krishna. That we should be very humble when approaching Krishna. Like a blade of grass. It's interesting. There's 2 examples given in this prayer that we should be like a blade of grass. So we see with grass, when someone steps on the grass, what happens to the grass? Mataji? Mataji?
It bends.
Yeah, it bows down. Yeah, it bends down, it falls flat. And then when you remove your feet, when the foot is removed from the grass, then what happens again to the grass?
Well, it comes back up again, depending.
Yeah, it just slowly comes back up, how it was. So this is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching us that expect problems. Things will go wrong. Don't think because I'm a devotee of Krishna, I'm now invincible. But no, actually, if we want to depend on Krishna, we should understand our humble position. We are simply insignificant little soul. And in that humble mood, whatever happens, bow down and stand back up. Bow down and stand back up. The grass is very flexible. A great lesson from grass. And be tolerant like a tree, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. Because a tree, no matter the weather, stands firm, tolerates everything. So be tolerant like a tree. So be humble like grass and tolerant like a tree. That even if the tree is cut and its body is used for different materials, wood, paper, the tree doesn't protest. It tolerates everything, and it grows, and it continues growing and growing. We take the fruits and the flowers and the leaves, continues growing. Tolerant like a tree. So when one has this mood, this humble mood, then the chanting is empowered, is imbued with that humility. So we're just up to time now. It's 9 o'clock now. Does anyone else have any reflections on this this part of the paragraph? I think there's so much to say, actually. Maybe we can continue from this one next week.
Yeah.
I actually don't have my beads to hand. We're going to chant one round of japa, as we did last couple of weeks, which was very nice. Is everyone going to be able to stay for that? Yeah? Okay. So as we do, we'll just chant all together for the next, say, 8 minutes or so. I'm just going to rush and go and find my beads from downstairs, and I'll be right back with you shortly. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Oh. Thanks for tolerating me all these weeks. So if everyone's ready, we'll just begin. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
So I don't know if everyone's finished, yeah?
Yeah.
You finished, Mataji?
Yes.
You also finished? Okay. And everyone else, are you still with us?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Archana Mataji, Jai Prakash Prabhu, Hare Krishna. So just a short announcement, just to continue. In the month of Kartik, we're having these Damodar programs online, virtual Damodar programs. I think now more of you have had these programs with your friends and family. Last week, Jai Prakash Prabhu shared a little bit of his experience. I don't know if anyone else has had the Damodar program at home with them, which my wife has been running. Has anyone else had the Damodar program booked at the moment?
No.
I attended it with another group,
Yeah.
with Sidna, and it was very nice.
Okay. What was one of the highlights for you, if you don't mind sharing?
It was actually getting to know the whole Damodar pastime again. I mean, you kind of think you know everything. You've heard the story so many times, but there are so many aspects to the story, right from, you know, the Nalakuvera, Manigriva. We did that in the Krishna class as well, but it all linked together again. So I think I had forgotten a bit of it. So it was very nice going through the whole story again. And one thing which really, I think you mentioned this as well, Prabhu, and Bhaktipriya mentioned it the other day as well, that whatever we do in this life, it actually reflects on the life after. So the fact that they were born as trees, who and trees don't have any clothes on them. Trees cannot enjoy at all. So it was very befitting that they were enjoying so much without their clothes in their previous life, that it was very befitting that they were actually born as trees in their next life. And also the other highlight for me was the fact that Krishna always listens to his devotees. So he may not have wanted to liberate the two sons of Kuvera, Nalagriva and Manigriva, Nalagriva.
That's right.
But because Narad Muni had told them that they'd be liberated by Krishna, it was more for Narad Muni that he liberated the two sons rather than him wanting to do that. So it's just showing that how merciful Krishna is towards his devotees, and the fact that how high he thinks of his devotees' words as opposed to even his own words.
Wow. Yeah, so many great takeaways from the pastime. Huh? Thank you for sharing that, Mataji.
Thank
Amazing,
you.
huh, everyone?
It is.
Yeah.
It's very nice, and Bhaktipriya did it in a very, very nice way.
Yes, so now there's only a couple of weeks left of the Damodar month. Oh no. Flying by.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to have a go, I invite your friends, your family for a Krishna conscious little online gathering. How long did the program take? Anjali Mataji, do you remember? Is it an hour or so?
Just under an hour.
Yeah.
Because there were questions. So it was supposed to be about half an hour, but because there were questions and answers as well, so it took about 45 minutes or so.
Yeah. So within an hour, your friends and family can get full taste of Krishna consciousness and can understand from this Damodar pastime so many different aspects of Krishna, as Panchali Mataji touched upon. It's a wonderful occasion to give Krishna to your family and friends. So yeah, please see if you can find the time. I'll post the or Jigna Mataji, if you wouldn't mind posting the poster on the group, the WhatsApp group, and then if anyone else likes to, they can have a try doing that Damodar program. So we greatly appreciate. Okay. Thanks everyone for your kind attention, your comments, your questions, contributions. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No, thank you.